Hello boat fans, this is Tim from Boatshed Brighton, and we've got this Fairline Sun Fury 26 out of the water for a survey, and I thought it might be a good chance to show you a little bit about the stern drives, what there is, what they're for, etc., in case you've never seen them or in case you've never seen your own. So this boat has two stern drives, one port, one starboard, as you can see, and essentially they're connected through this assembly here to the engines inside the boat. So what happens is the drive comes out of the engine through this bellows in this direction, through a 90-degree bevel gearbox, all the way down to the bottom through this 90-degree bevel gearbox here, and turns the counter-rotating duo props, as you can see. And that's how it works. So the leg itself is full of oil to give you lubrication, so what we want to do is make sure water doesn't end up in there or that oil doesn't escape, and that will be part of the annual service. And up here we've got what's known as a bellows. Now this is flexible, so this allows the actual leg itself to move as it's being steered, and we've got another bellows just underneath here. It's got my finger on there, which is the exhaust bellows, and that basically is a flexible bellows that allows exhaust from the engine through the drive, and it comes out through what effectively is the boat's exhaust pipe through this part here. And as you can see, normally it's a flattened off area at the back of the stern drive. This particular one has little small flaps, rubber flaps in place, which act as small non-return valves, and the idea is that water comes out of here when it's being pumped out, and then when the engine stops, these flaps close just to stop water going back inside to the engine. And that's all that does. So what else can I tell you? Okay, well, we've got the main body of the stern drive. At the front of the bottom section we've got these holes here, and this is where engine cooling water is allowed in, so the water gets sucked in there. So we always want to make sure that it's not full of barnacles, weed, bits of plastic bag or fishing wire or rope or anything sucked into there, so that we've got a good flow of cooling water through the engine. We've got 3 anodes fitted to the stern drive. We've got this collar anode here. Up here we've got the small triangular anode there, and we've also got the anode underneath here. And the idea is, I'm not going to go into the science of it for now, but if you hear the term sacrificial anode or just anode, that's what these are. And the idea is that these corrode away instead of all the metal parts of your stern drive. So they're in effect protection for the metal, and every time you take your boat out you should have a look to see if they've corroded away. And if you look at this one here, we can see that it is nice and pitted. We don't want it to look nice and new. We want it to look like it's wearing away over time. And really a good rule of thumb is to change those every time you get the boat out, because it's better to change them too often than not often enough, because if they completely disappear, then that means you've not got the protection, and you may find that the metal parts of your stern drives are corroding instead. So what else can I tell you? Alright, so we've got the counter-rotating propellers, and as you can see, one turns one way, one turns the other. These look in reasonable condition. I think they've been painted, and they could probably do with them being cleaned off and painted again, but they look fine. And we're just checking to make sure there's no movement laterally, and that they turn nice and smoothly both ways without any grinding or crunching, which they do. And this piece here is a fairing piece, which allows water to flow all the way along the stern drive, through the counter-rotating propellers and over the back, nice and uniformly, to give you that nice smooth water flow and efficiency. And also at the bottom, you'll note, well, if you look at the stern drive as a whole, you can see it's got a nice aerodynamic section, so fatter at the front and then thinner at the back, as you can see, and also the fin at the bottom, slightly fatter at the front and thinner at the back, just like a skeg on a windsurfer or a racing yacht. And again, this just allows for nice, smooth, linear, undisturbed flow over the propellers. And also this part here generally is a little bit thinner, a little bit more fragile, and as you can see, comes below the level of the propellers. So should you touch the bottom, this may give you a tiny little bit of protection. This might hit just before your propellers, so yeah, something to keep an eye out for. One little thing worthy of note, in here we've got the reverse latching mechanism, and the idea of that is that if you go into reverse, that the whole assembly doesn't pull itself up out of the water and just rev in an uncontrolled way, so that will stop that happening. But also the idea of it is it's like a fail-safe mechanism, so if you're chundering along in the boat at high speed and you do hit the bottom, rather than this hitting the bottom and tearing the back of the boat off, what will tend to happen is that the reverse latching mechanism will release under pressure and the whole stern drive will move up and out of the way. You'll damage the release, but hopefully the whole stern drive and the back of your boat will not be written off. And what I'll do, if you just excuse the filming for 1 second, I'm just going to release it and then I'll show you how it operates so that you can get an idea of what goes on. So just bear with me. So you need to be a little bit careful with this. So if it will focus into the middle there, there's the catch, and that was it just moving into place. So if I wiggle the stern drive now, the catch is stopping it from moving. I'm just going to release it again. Excuse the filming. Okay, there we go. I'll just try and capture that again. So I've lifted up the stern drive, released the catch, and as it comes back down, you should see a nice click, and there we go. Now it won't move backwards. Sorry, it's slightly out of focus there. So if you do find that when you reverse your stern drive and your stern drive lifts up and out of the water, that means that that little latch there probably hasn't latched into place. And in this case, you can possibly see down in there is a little spring. That little return spring can prevent, if it's broken, can stop it latching into place, or more often than not, as in the case with this boat, barnacles, weed, etc., just gunk up the mechanism. So if you just lift the leg, unlatch it manually, and give it a good old move around, a bit of a spray, a bit of a clean with a screwdriver, etc., just to free it off, that will normally do the job. What I would say though is you should have a professional doing that, because you know, you could catch your fingers in there, etc. So do be really, really careful. If unsure, do consult somebody in the know. So this is Tim from Brighton, just for a quick look around the exterior of these stern drives, Volvo DP290s. Hope you learned a little bit. I certainly did today, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. Enjoy your day, and thanks for watching.